Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM and your source for the biggest corporate shills you've ever seen. My name, of course, is Seth Budoff. Joining me this evening, we have the soon to be married Earl Nieto. Congratulations, Earl. Congratulations, Marlena. You guys got engaged over the weekend. So congratulations to you guys. How'd you do it? How'd you pop the big question? And are you still surprised that she said yes?
So I'm going to start backwards. So everyone is surprised she said yes. And if you've ever met Marlena, she kind of has some sarcasm to her. Has some quirkiness to her. So, yes, I am surprised she said yes and didn't have some kind of bullshit answer. Which, thanks, because I appreciate not being embarrassed. How did it happen? We were at the 4th of July in Mountain Air. My fucking point. Ladies and gentlemen, she's entered the building. So what happened was I kind of tricked her into playing a game where she had to dip her face in some whipped cream to dig for some olives. She was not happy about it. I knew all along what was happening. First to 5 won. She says 3. I could have sworn I counted 4, but then I don't know how to count. Math is not my forte. My brother actually won that one. She turned around, saw his hand up, turned back around, got more whipped cream on her face to be a jackass. And I say that in the most loving way. Comes to get more whipped cream on my face than what was on hers, and there I was on my knee and asked her to marry me.
Very nice, girl. Very nice. Glad you guys had a wonderful weekend, and congratulations to both of you. I know that you're. It's been a bit of a bit of a whirlwind for you two. Like, you guys met, and like now it's been like 3 months, 3.5 weeks, something like that, and you're getting married. So congratulations.
You, sir, are an asshole. Because you, sir, obviously don't know how to count as much as I don't.
No, I know it's been a while. You guys have been dating for a while. You're actually quite shy about letting us in on the secret, a few months back when you guys first started dating. So, but no, I know that I met Marlena back in I think it was January. So it's been a while. So yeah, congratulations to you guys. And how did Maya take the news? Was Maya in on it?
So no, Maya was supposed to be in on it, but she was too busy cooling down in the water slide that they had. So she didn't know it even happened until we went and found her. And then I had a necklace for her, and pretty much did the same thing I did with her mom. I got down on one knee and asked her to be my bonus daughter, because I don't like the word stepdaughter. So I asked her to be my bonus daughter, and of course she said yes. She did say that me asking her mom to marry me was too early. I don't know if she meant like time-wise or like too early in the day. I don't know what she meant, but 2 + 2 = 1. Exactly. But yeah, so that's how that one went down. So I gave her a necklace, a little mermaid necklace that I got with Marlena's ring, and the rest is history.
Very cool. So have you and Marlena set a date yet? Is there a date that we can announce, or is that still in the works?
So time-wise, we're looking at like 1,800 years.
1,800 years. Okay.
So anywhere between now and 1,800 years, it could be at any point. But we don't really know what our time frame is. I mean, we're less than a week into this, and we're just gonna enjoy it. We're gonna ride the wave, and you know what? I'm gonna put this out there.
Okay.
Because our good friend, and I can't really say the name right now because there is a 5-year-old watching. So in order to shield her ears from that, our good friend over west, you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He has an opinion of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that opinion was true, because if we were a corporate shill, then maybe the club will sponsor my wedding.
I don't know. Maybe,
David, if you're listening.
Ask David. See if maybe David can get ordained, or maybe have Pete get ordained to do this.
I don't know how Marlena feels about that, but I will definitely ask her.
There you go. Well, I mean, Marlena's in the chat, so how do you feel about Pete marrying guys? Harry, how you doing, bud? So yeah, the reason we moved the show tonight, I was out of town. In case folks didn't know, I was out of town. I got back today, so that's why I moved the show to tonight. Plus, it gives us time to talk about both El Paso and Las Vegas Lights from last night. So,
and we also get to talk about Money in the Bank.
We need to get to talk about Money in the Bank as well. That we'll talk about that. And Harry, Earl and I were talking on the show, so I'm glad you popped in. So Jacob put out a tweet over the weekend that said that Seriously Loco, Robert's in the house as well. Seriously Loco was a bit bitter over the loss to us on Saturday evening, which completely understandable. We go down to their house, take a 1-0 win, and end their win in their unbeaten streak down there. Seriously Loco responded, claiming that we are chasing clout using their name. Now, of course, we chase no one's clout. We use no one's clout. We ride no one's coattails. We run our own content here. We do our own show.
We don't need anyone's coattails when you have me on the show.
Exactly. We have the master of disaster in the house. So, we don't need to ride anyone's coattails. And of course, as Earl mentioned, our friend from the West decided to hop on the bandwagon here and say that we are corporate shills, that we shill for the club because we have members of the front office on the show regularly, in his words. Now, yes, David has been on the show a few times. We do appreciate David Weesey-Curl obviously popping on the show whenever he does. We do try to get Pete and the coach and players on whenever we can. But, Earl, we've made no secret of the fact that we are not, the club does not control us. The club does not control the content that we put out. Now, obviously, we do have a great amount of respect and a good relationship with David and Pete and, the guys at the club. And so because of that, we are given opportunities to do interviews that some other fan-run podcasts and shows don't necessarily get the chance to. Now, obviously, our friend from out west doesn't listen to any other show, particularly PHNX, who, as we all know, Owen has any and every member of Phoenix Rising and their staff on his show whenever he can. Seriously Loco has members of staff and front office and coaching staff on their show as well. So, we come on and we've always felt the freedom to say what's on our mind. And, I kind of chimed into the Twitter thread. And of course, it didn't I was like, okay, whatever. It's this guy that's always, that's never liked us, probably never even bothered to listen to the show. But to call someone a corporate shill, I think that there has to be something there that he's struggling with personally. Maybe he's unhappy with the way his team is being run at the moment. So what's your thoughts on that, Earl?
Okay. Buckle up.
All right, let's do it.
Here we go. And this, kids, is where you plug your ears. Because it's about to get sour in here. Our friend from the West, I have my own personal opinion about him.
Okay.
He is a jackass. He's also an asshole.
Word of the day.
Word of the day. So, Maya, I know you're listening. Marlena, I know you're listening. So that's twice already I've said it. That's my opinion of him.
Okay.
The fact that he wants to call us a corporate shill or club sellout or whatever the hell he wants to come up with next week is complete and utter stupidity. Because exactly like you said, Owain has anybody and anybody on there. Seriously Loco, or whatever the hell their name is, because that's how much I actually care about them. So if Vanderplas, whatever your name is nowadays, edited version, if you are listening to this, that shows you how much I care about El Paso and trying to ride the coattails of them. I don't even know the name of their damn podcast. The only person that knows the name of their podcast, there's two people actually that know the name. The current head or three, sorry, three. The current head coach, which I don't know his name. Jerry, our good friend Jerry, and who somehow hasn't been in here in quite a while. I mean, I didn't expect to see him tonight, especially after he lost to the bottom feeder New Mexico United. And then Coach Mark Lowry or Kyle Lowry, whatever his name is nowadays. Those are the three people that I know about the club, because those are the three people I know are always on the show. So for Vanderplas to say that we're corporate sellouts because we had David Carl on the show, Robert, I have to hold back. I'm so sorry. I'm going to hurt your feelings, but I do have a 5-year-old bonus daughter listening to this show tonight, so I do have to hold back, and that's why I'm using his real last name, which is weird as shit right now. But in order to shield her 5-year-old innocent ears, I kind of have to. So anyways, where was I at? So for him to say that we're sellouts is completely retarded. And I know I'm not supposed to say that word, so I'm sorry.
Earl, you gotta get us canceled. You're not even trying.
Because why should I try? In all honesty, why the hell should I try? You have Michael Vanderplas, a.k.a. Never mind, I can't say it.
Yeah,
we have Michael Vanderplas calling us out because we had a fan of the show on air. This guy is a married guy trying to sell his house, staying up till 11 o'clock at night on a damn Tuesday to just talk soccer with us. How is that being a sellout? Because we had David Carl on the show? Cool. Guess what? He'll be on again if I can't make it. And Earl should be drinking warm eggnog right now because that's how hot he is right now. Yeah, so that's just my opinion of the friend out west who obviously has too much sun radiating his brain because all his brain cells are fried, because he wants to call us a corporate sellout for having a guy who's in our show commenting every Tuesday night. We decided to treat him to be on the show. And yes, Tom, you're right. Phoenix fans in general are just awful. And I'm going to top that comment by saying Phoenix in general is just awful.
I only have limited experience being in Phoenix. I've been to the Scottsdale area, some nice golf courses. But yeah, it's Earl kind of buried the lead there a little bit. David Weestercarl has agreed to pop on the show from time to time, with Jacob being absent due to his time at the police academy. So he'll be popping in and out. We're hoping to get Harry on a few times. We're going to try to get Carlos Tenorio, Sombrero Man, on a few times as well, depending on his schedule, to help.
You know what? Time out.
Go ahead.
One thing. I know we're naming all these people coming on the show. I challenge Vanderplas to come on the show. If you're listening to this, it's an open challenge. Let me know. I will get you the link. Please show up.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, obviously, and that's something we've put out there in the past. We've put that out there before, and people I've reached out to Seriously Local in the past to try to do something with them. And as Harry said, they do put out a great podcast. Now, obviously, they were very bitter after the loss over the weekend, which is understandable. But yeah, I've reached out to them in the past to try to do some sort of content with them, and they never responded. I tried reaching out to Down in the Valley; they never responded as well. I have not reached out to Owen. Don't want, honestly, I don't. I have personal issues with Owen. I think he's I'll leave it at that. So I'm not gonna reach out to them. But yeah, we've offered that before. We've reached out to people in the Mexico United Nation, where we've reached out to Vanderplas, we've reached out to other guys, and issued that out there to say, hey, come on the show. and they won't do it.
And Robert, for your invite, last time we invited you, we almost got canceled. So you, sir, are no longer invited.
He's Team Earl.
Just kidding. You can come on whenever you want.
Okay, there you go. Robert, we'll get you on at some point. We will do that. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a ton of quality content. There's a ton of quality journalists that cover lower league soccer. And, I will say, again, Seriously Loco does a very good job at what they do. I mean, they even got kind of called out by a former head coach of theirs. So, but yeah, it's short-sighted for them to put out the response that they did. Number one, it is extremely short-sighted and in a way downright disrespectful, again, towards us and the work that we do to try to cover the club. And we had this conversation with Jacob or with David last week. We work really hard to come out and be respectful journalists and respect the wishes of the club. And there are things that we know through our relationship with the club that we do not talk about. And this is something that Kaylor Hodges was talking about on Twitter this weekend as well. To get mad at people for not leaking and spoiling things and to act professionally is really kind of sad. Now, again, we take our relationship with the club seriously. We do. Or do we shill for the club? Absolutely not. Are we grateful for every opportunity we have to bring David or Pete or, Coach Quill, who we are still working on getting on the show, or one of the players? We're absolutely eternally grateful to the club for that, because there's a lot of places that don't have that access. But not once has the club ever come to us and said, hey, you can't say that, or you can't talk this way about this, that, or the other.
Time out. There's one.
Except Jacob's forehead.
I know he was kidding. And David, I still love you to death. But by all means, it is kind of hard not to talk about Jacob's forehead.
Yeah, there you go. With the exception of Jacob's forehead, we've not been given any sort of instruction from the club as far as what we can or cannot talk about. So, and the feedback that we've gotten from the club is that the club does support the content that we put out, that they do appreciate the time and effort we do put into it. But again, they don't control anything that we do, and we certainly wouldn't let them.
Now, if there's money involved,
I mean, if there's money involved, probably there might be some sort of editorial.
Like, are we talking like substantial hush money, or
I don't know.
You got my number. I'll be listening to offers.
That's something we would have to discuss off air as far as what we'd be willing to take from the club in order to not say things. But
I know what my offer is. I know what mine is.
What's your offer, Earl?
$1 million.
All right. Well, there you go.
Sir,
David, if you're listening, Earl will take $1 million to always speak positively about the club.
I think you mean $1 billion. Oh,
okay.
Right. 1 billion.
Earl is taking bribes to only speak positively about the club and Sam Hamilton.
I don't know about that shit. Hold on a fucking minute. Hold the fuck
up. But yeah, no, it was just an interesting back and forth over the weekend. Again, I know Harry was involved in it, and Jacob and I were both involved. We both said something in response. And so it's just, those of you that watch the show and listen to the show, that we are very candid in our takes. We don't sugarcoat things. If we feel like there's something negative to say, we say it. And so
I take full responsibility for the JPG being gone.
There you go.
Full responsibility.
Earl was hashtag JPG out in 2019. So
for like half a season.
Yeah.
And a half.
Exactly. There you go. But we'll just go and move on from that. Again, that came up over the weekend, and I just felt it was an interesting take from two I would say not prominent, larger voices.
Say what you mean, man.
The USL community. I mean, again, Seriously Loco does have a decent following. Again, they put out good content, as biased as they are at times, which is fair. I think every fan run show should be biased to some extent. But yeah, again, we've reached out to them to try to do content in the past, and we never heard back. So, and again, for our friend from Phoenix, I mean, he is what he is. He's never said anything positive about New Mexico United, or the fans, or us for that matter. And so it is what it is.
He is an asshole.
That's 3. Earl, if you say it enough, he's gonna manifest.
God, I hope so. Like, I'm fucking trying, man. I'm trying.
I know. You are definitely trying. You're trying to get him here. So, I mean, moving right along. We talked about last week. New Mexico United had 2 matches over the holiday weekend. Obviously, Saturday night down at Southwest University Park. New Mexico United did end the unbeaten streak of El Paso Locomotive FC by a final score of 1-0. Earl, what was your take on that match, and how good did it feel to end that streak?
Before we get there, yes, like Beetlejuice, I'm trying by all means to get Beetlejuice himself on there. Unfortunately, it's not going to work, fans. Back to our regular schedule show. My take on us beating El Paso. What do you think?
I assume you're gonna say FEP.
Exactly, FEP. But in reality, you have one of the top clubs in the league. I'm not even saying Western Conference, in the league, holding their own, unbeaten at home, unbeaten in 12 straight. You name it. It's David versus Goliath at this point. Then you have the bottom feeder New Mexico United, who were sitting at 11th place at the time, traveling down south to go play what Jerry is going to say as the bigger brother. And what happens? El Paso, and I emphasize the L part, collapsed and choked and did not beat the little brother, as they want to say, in their own hometown, in their own stadium. So how do I feel about it? I feel great about it. I really do. I actually got to watch the entire match and not worry about it. Actually, no, I did not get to watch the entire match because I was at a fireworks show, which is fine because I was with my family. So I watched it later on in life. But us beating El Paso is what it should be. With the team that we have, we should be beating El Paso. That's how it plays out. We have the talent. Coach Quill has tapped into a Daniel Bruce to no other extent to unleash Daniel Bruce to start scoring goals every freaking match. I mean, you can't complain about that. And if you can, then obviously their names Owain, Michael Vanderplas, or Jerry.
Yeah, I've been watching these past few matches, watching Daniel Bruce in particular, getting to start, up top at the number 9, and he's just been phenomenal. Again, we've talked about, a lot of folks don't know that he did play center forward some in college, and so he's just been absolutely dynamic. And you watch some of the runs, you watch some of the shots that he's had, the chances that he's opening up, and you can see here just from these highlights just how involved he is in every single one of these plays, and just how well United played against El Paso on Saturday. Yes, we gave up 65% of the possession, but you know what? Soccer isn't necessarily a possession game. You can have 30% possession and score 2 goals. You saw the goal here, right here, by Armando Moreno. That called back. How he was offside, I don't know. Like, you look at that, and to me, I mean, maybe half a step. Maybe, but there were other calls that were undeniably close. And then, of course, here the finisher, El Paso makes a turnover in the midfield. And I also thought Hernandez was offside here, but great hold-up play by him. Drew the defenders over the side, slides the ball over to Santi Moar. Good to see Santi get back on the sheet. He's been he's been trying really hard over the past several weeks to get back on the score sheet. And so, I mean, this match against El Paso was something that I think United really needed, particularly after the rough stretch heading into it. But I mean, yeah, even though we had only, it's like 34-35% possession, you look at it and you wouldn't know that by how confident United played both in and out of possession, particularly through the midfield.
Yeah, they played phenomenal that night. They played as a team that wanted to win. You saw it right there. Alex Tambakis stood on his freaking head and held a clean sheet. That one right there, it was an invisible ball where he's not seeing it. There's no way he sees that ball until it's at the very last moment. And yet he still gets a save. So all around, overall, I'd give our team a 9 out of 10. There are a couple small things that could be fixed, but they're very, very minor, not enough to actually impact the game.
And yeah, Robert, you did. You as soon as you saw that signing, I know you were tweeting with Jacob about it. Nicky Hernandez came on, didn't necessarily have a lot of time in either match, but no, he was instrumental there at the end, especially of the El Paso match, and he played well against Lights as well. So a great signing from New Mexico. Now, a little bit interesting. It kind of flew under the radar ahead with that announcement there. 25-day signing, Nicky Hernandez, formerly with San Antonio FC. When this was announced, what did you make of it? I mean, obviously we've been struggling defensively, particularly on the injury front. So they signed a guy short term before the midfield.
Hang on one second.
Okay. Dead air.
Look, there's people that's important in my life saying goodnight to me, so I had to take a minute, say goodnight to them to let them know that they are number one in my life. So what do I think about Nicky and the signing? I mean, when I saw it, I was scrolling Facebook on Thursday. I think it was Thursday that I was scrolling Facebook. I was like, "Who the hell is this?"
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to go do some digging and find out that he was over with San Antonio. And I was like, okay. And then I looked at the contract. It was 25 days, which kind of confused me. Because, that goes to show two things. One, some of the injuries that we have aren't as serious as we think they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they will be coming back in the very, very, very near future. And two, it's just that one, actually. There's no two. But the other thing I do want to touch on is how David last week, thank you, because you, sir, gave us what we call a David leak.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and re-listen to last week and listen to where he's talking about Bees and Bees' injury.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, David. I appreciate you. But yeah, so, and then for him to come on a first match that he's signed with us and make a pivotal impact on the match. Obviously, do an assist on the lead. You can't deny that. So my question is, what happens in what do we have left? 20 days with him?
Mm-hmm. Give or take.
What happens in the next 2 or 3 weeks? Does he re-sign with us, or?
I don't know. That's a very good question. I think if he continues to contribute, and it seems like he might, because again, it hasn't been volume wise a lot of minutes. It's been quality minutes. He's been impactful in the time that he spent on the field, and he really is a good player. He's got he does have a past with Coach Eric Quill, which is one of the determining factors that brought him here. And then of course you got Robert and the guys from San Antonio, saying how good of a player he can be, particularly if he's healthy. I think if he keeps up, I would not be surprised if we re-sign him for the remainder of the season. It wouldn't surprise me at all, particularly with the injuries that we've been having. Obviously you can slide Ham back into the back four, as we've seen. You can slide Will back there. You can keep Harry back there. You can keep Brucey back there. Now I don't think we're gonna see Brucey back there again at this point, but
No.
you have versatility in other guys to make room for a player like Nicky Hernandez in the midfield.
See, now that you're talking about the back line, excuse me, I want to
personally apologize to Sam Hamilton.
I want to do this. No, I don't want to do that. I don't know what I want to fucking do. But I do want to say that Sam Hamilton belongs on the back line. The difference in quality of Sam Hamilton as defensive mid versus Sam Hamilton on the back line next to Kalen Ryden is night and day. I will say there are some small things that I see that I don't like, such as, and Jacob's going to fight me on this one tooth and nail until we're both in the grave, such as this past weekend where Sam slides to make a defensive stop, leaves us one man short, they score a goal. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my take on it. Jacob said it was a dumb take. I'll let you guys rewatch it.
I believe you're talking about the final goal of the Las Vegas Lights match yesterday.
No. I'm talking about the first goal of Vegas.
That's right.
The final goal, I don't know what Sam was doing, but he must have watched The Lion King on the way to Vegas or something. I mean, yeah, so Robert, I'm going to ignore that comment. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened there. Like I said, I could be wrong. But in my opinion, if Sam would have stayed on his feet, that goal doesn't happen because now Sam is more maneuverable back and forth versus sliding down where he can't catch his feet to get back up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll live with it. But that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. I think that goal is coming up here in just a minute. I do want to point out that Andrew Carlton had a surprisingly good match last night. He's a guy, obviously came out of Atlanta United, had a number of off-field issues, played for San Diego last season. He's now with Las Vegas. And here's that goal you're talking about.
Yeah. So if Sam stays on his feet there, my opinion, like I said, this is all Earl. This is not anything Somos Mas. This is just Earl. Thanks, Robert. If Sam stays on his feet, he has more flexibility to follow the ball, follow the player, versus having to recover off the ground like he did there and help out whoever that is. I think that was Harry.
I didn't realize that Alex actually got a hand to that ball there. But yeah, so what happens there, and I'll back this up here so folks can see. So when this ball comes across to the left, it looks like he's going to shoot there on the right where he gets right where he takes possession. So that's why Sam slides, and then he cuts back. That's where Pato cuts back to his right. Then Harry slides to his left, to try to cut off that low shot there as well. And so, a couple different attempts there to block a potential shot, neither of which paid off. And Pato, unfortunately for us, had a bit of a better look than anyone to expect, because you see there, like he looks like he's going to shoot, then he feints back to the right. So, but yeah, then Alex, of course, gets the hand to the ball. So I don't necessarily fault Sam for that there. Had he stayed on his feet, I think he would have been a little bit better off. But
I don't fault him either. I'm not saying he did wrong. My opinion is if he would have stayed up, it might have been a different story. By all means, if you see the ball and you think he's going to shoot it, absolutely do what you have to. But my opinion is stay on your feet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's one of those things, and you can apply that to a lot of different sports. Basketball, football, soccer. Here, stay on your feet, and you're going to put yourself in a better physical position to handle any sort of shift from the opposing player.
And this, friends, is where Sam reenacted the Lion King.
Yeah, the lights player goes to his knees in front of Sam, and Sam just kind of trips over him there. Yeah, really unfortunate here. And one of the things that I saw on social media, I saw it on Facebook, and I know it was on Reddit as well, is that we basically parked the bus. And while I don't necessarily agree with that. That we parked the bus. I do think, and this is something that Coach Quill has talked about, is that the intensity wasn't there for the final 15 minutes of the match, particularly the final 8 to 10 minutes of the match. And you could see Lights really pushing for that equalizer there towards the end. And, it's unfortunate. Alex made a couple great saves there towards the end. Yes, he got the deflection on the ball that led up to that shot. But yeah, it's just it was a tough moment. Unfortunately, it fell directly to Gonzalez there. And it's just a tough spot for Alex to be in. So,
yeah, I mean, you said it. I mean, people say they parked the bus. I felt like they did.
Mm-hmm.
But when I rewatched it, because I had the luxury of watching it live, and then again at 10:30 on Channel 7, so I had the luxury of watching it twice. It wasn't that they parked the bus; they just couldn't move anymore. Mm-hmm. You played 3-4 matches in 7 days. That's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And then your final stretch of the 7 days is in 103-degree weather at 6:00 at night.
Yeah.
You can't fault them for, and I wouldn't say giving up. They gassed out is what happened. They bottomed out and they just couldn't get back into it. When I was watching it, yeah, I was frustrated because it seemed like we were packing it in, parking the bus, calling it good. And I think I said it in our group text too. But when I go back and I rewatch it, it's not that we parked the bus or sent it in and airmailed it. And no, we couldn't move.
Yeah, we were just gassed. We really were at that point, because you look at the effort and the intensity that's put in to the first half, and really the first 60 minutes. And to his credit, Coach Cole did make 3 changes there right around the hour mark. But I feel like you could have brought in guys like Wax, could have brought in, any other options off the bench were, Andres Robles or, Kyle Colonna. Colonna obviously had just come back from injury. So, I mean, maybe put Andres in there, give him a few minutes, give the fresh legs a chance to run. But yeah, it was it was rather unfortunate. Robert warned y'all Vegas isn't that bad. I still contend that Vegas is not a great team. I still will. I mean, did they play better than we expected? Absolutely. But I'm not sold on Vegas at all.
No, to touch on that, did they play better than we expected? 100%. I do believe maybe Seth, but I know me and Jacob predicted a clean sheet. They played yesterday better than their record showed, for sure. But I'm still not sold that they're a good team. I'm not. They played good, but their good did not show they were the better team. They were the better paced team the last 15, 20 minutes, but overall out of the game, I mean, we dominated the game. We controlled the game. They got lucky on a few scores, and that was that. I mean, they're not the better team. They're not even equally the equal team.
Yeah, to Christina's point here, would have for sure preferred to see young, fast, fresh legs over veterans who are walking. Yeah, again, in my viewing of the match, the guys just look gassed. I mean, you go back, you look at our schedule, and Tuesday, Saturday, Saturday. So, and then leading into that, I mean, really, you go back to the 21st. You got 4 matches in 14 days, which is a lot for any team to have to deal with. And you saw Brucey give 180 minutes in 2 games. You saw some other guys give 180 minutes because of the injury situation. We haven't necessarily had a full complement of subs available, and even looking at the guys who are on the bench, is throwing Andres in there against El Paso the best call? Probably not. Does he need experience? Absolutely, he does. But you have to look at who's available. I mean, we had a match a couple weeks ago where we had 1 defender available on the bench, just 1. And then I think that was the same game that Kalen went down. Possible injury. Or no, Suggsy went down back at home. It's like, we have 1 defender on the bench. It's like, well, what do you do at that point? So you try to mix and match and move guys around and do things like that. But yeah, I mean, the guys were just gassed. Like you said, 103-degree heat. And all the travel, all that kind of stuff, all played into it.
Yeah, and Christina says it right. I mean, he traveled back to back, and injuries all combined sure didn't help. 100%. We went to El Paso on Saturday, played a match, won that match against a rival, which we all know how the El Paso matches go. We give our 100%, if not 120%, every time we go down there. Surprisingly, there was no red cards. And then you turn around and somehow have to be in at least 1 training session to prepare for Vegas, all the while trying to travel to Vegas from El Paso, endure the 700-degree weather out there, endure the stupidity of the field and the freaking truck tire marks and the whatever the fuck else was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to endure all that nonsense and still try to play a game with a short bench and a billion injuries to key players.
So Robert's point here real quick. I actually did some research on this, Robert. There are only 3 teams in the entire USL that have given up more goals than Vegas have heading into the match yesterday. 3 teams have given up more goals. So, I mean, to say they don't give up goals, I think is a bit of an understatement. They were sitting at 27 prior to Tuesday night, so they're now sitting on 29. But they certainly don't score that many goals. And so, like, I think they do have issues. But yeah, there's a lot that factored into it. I'm not terribly upset with how they played for the first, 60, 65 minutes. It's after that I have an issue with the effort. And again, guys were gassed. The crappy field. I mean, you saw early on in that match, I think it was Mondo tore up a big chunk of the sod there, and it took them a few minutes to get someone to fix it. Where really the players ended up having to fix it. Camera work was absolutely shoddy during that broadcast. It drove me up a wall. Dumb promotions, hot, crap field. It's Cashman Field is not a place that I would want to play if I was a player. I don't know how the league allows them to get rid of that, or to I don't know how the league allows them to continue to use that. And then the fact that they do things on the pitch at halftime, I think that causes a real big problem. Last year we saw the water balloons at halftime, and you see the crap all over the field in the second half. You got confetti everywhere. You got all this other stuff. And, when they do things like the money drops and stuff like that, I get it. It's very gimmicky. It's a way to bring fans in the stands. The Braves used to do shit like that back in the 80s, when Ted Turner ran the club. Before they were good,
wrestling.
WCW. Yeah. But I get it. It's all gimmicks. It's a way to get butts in the seats. But it makes for terrible playing surface, especially when they do those things at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, I have no argument against it.
Yeah, Christina I was surprised that people didn't drag those pools up into the stands and dump them on themselves or something. It probably would have made the evening a bit cooler. I know there were some camera shots that did show quite a few New Mexico United fans up there as well. So,
and we did see our corporate sponsor David Carl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did see them.
It's good to see that Somos Mas was being represented out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all in all, 4 points in 4 days from 2 road matches. I'll take it. I really will. Compared to how we were playing earlier in the season, I will take that. Obviously, I think most people have expected to go the other way around. Draw or loss against El Paso, win against Las Vegas, but again, we played well against El Paso, against one of the hottest teams in the league. We played well for 2/3 of the match on Tuesday night. Obviously, a lot to deal with there, but now we actually have a couple days off before Detroit City FC comes back or comes out west for the first time, I should say, in a matchup of 2 very vocal supporters groups. Northern. I think it's what they're called, Northern Guard. Yeah, they're very, very vocal on Twitter. They put out a great showing out at Keyworth Stadium all the time. It'd be the first time welcoming them into New Mexico. Obviously, Detroit City not having the season they were hoping for this year after their run to the playoffs last year. Detroit City currently is sitting 10th in the Eastern Conference on 16 points. They are level on points with FC Tulsa, 3 points ahead of Miami FC and 6 ahead of Hartford Athletic. They come to the match with 1 win in their previous 5, 2 draws and 2 losses. Most recently, they lost to Orange County by a score of 1-0 and to FC Tulsa by a score of 3-2. Looking at this matchup on Saturday, Earl, again, Detroit City came in, took the league kind of by storm last year, not living up to expectations this year. Hey, what's your take on Detroit City? Do you think they have any sort of a chance out at the Lab?
So, unfortunately, we don't play good at the Lab. We don't. I mean, we could be undefeated on the road, but for whatever reason, we shit the bed when we get home. So, and Vagina Plaster, guess what? I can call you that now. If you're listening, that is me not being a corporate shill or a club shill or a club sellout, whatever the fuck you want to say it now. No, we are not good at home, unfortunately. So, I don't even know who Detroit City has on their team anymore. But what I do know is any team coming to the Lab has a chance. Because for whatever reason, we don't live up to the standard of it being the Lab.
Yeah, that's something Coach Quill has talked about, making the Lab a fortress again. Every home team wants their pitch to be a fortress. And, no, it hasn't been for us this season. You look at us, our home record, we're 3-2-2. So, we're still not quite where we want to be. I think if I remember correctly, both of those draws were late goals, late equalizers to other teams. And so even with the fans in the stands, and the guys talk about, how great it is to be at home, how much energy there is, how much more energetic it is, and how they feed off the club. But yeah, it just hasn't necessarily translated to results on the pitch. And I agree with Christina. It has been better under Quill. I do think fans are turning out a little bit more. And this is something we talked to David about on the show last week. When clubs are not doing well, when the club isn't doing well, there does tend to be a downtick in the number of tickets sold. Now, David says it's not quite as big of a tick as most people would believe. And honestly, I don't think there's much of a difference. You go back and look at the Wednesday night numbers, from last season to this season. Yeah, there's a bit of a decline, but it's not, it's not a huge decline overall. You look at the weekend numbers. Yes, we were slightly higher last year, but again, this year our form has not been there, so the ticket sales are down just a little bit. With Coach Quill coming in, the results are coming. I think fans are going to start to turn back around. and show back up. And so that's why I look at Saturday night against Detroit City. I think Saturday night is going to be really interesting to see the ticket sales and the number of folks that are out there for this match, even though Detroit City is not the club that they were last year.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's historical that every time United beats or plays El Paso to a death match, tickets always improve after that. It's shown. Last season, we went down to El Paso. We played them, I think, to a 1-0 loss or maybe a 1-1 draw. The next few weeks, we went on a run. And I think we were undefeated those next couple weeks. I think we were on like a 3 or 4 game win streak. Or unbeaten streak. And then our ticket sales were incredible. We saw 12,000, 11,000, 9,000. We saw decent numbers the next few weeks at home. So I want to say that us going down to El Paso and beating them and pissing off Sirius Loco and then coming home that very next week, I want to say that I want to say that makes it easier to come home when you have fans that follow that way and continue that path. And to touch on Robert's comment, we need to make other players hate coming to the lab. I can't tell you how many birds I've gotten from other teams' keepers. Y'all have the passion, make them feel it. Robert, me and you are on the same boat because I too did get a middle finger bird from one now retired Jeff Caldwell. Who, Jeff Caldwell, if you listen to this, you still owe me a shirt.
Earl, I hate to break it to you, but I don't know that you're going to get that shirt.
I don't think I am either, but he still owes me one. Asshole.
I mean, yeah, looking at Detroit City, and Robert's right. You know, the fans do need to get on opposing players a little bit more. I think now they do tend to pick someone out, to kind of just one person and single them out and give them a lot of negative attention. But I don't think it's quite enough, you know. But yeah, looking at Detroit City this weekend, you look at their roster. They do have some guys back. You know, Steinwasser's back, but Steinwasser's back, Lewis is back, Diop is back, Connor Roots is back. You know, so they have pieces there that have been there before. But from what I've seen and from looking at match recaps and things like that, Detroit they're really struggling to put anything on the board. They've scored 12 goals this season, allowed 18, which isn't necessarily a terrible ratio, particularly for a team that's sitting as low in the standings as they are. But yeah, it's Steinwasser's still doing Steinwasser things, so it's not like they're failing defensively at what they need to do. You know, they're struggling to find players or ways to get the ball in the final third. You know, you look at the stats, and they have. I'm really not happy with the USL website right now because it's defaulting to 2022, which is really dumb. There it is. Yeah. So offensively, 133 total shots, 53 shots on target, 12 goals scored. So, I mean, you look at that compared to the rest of the league, and, in terms of shots, Detroit is honestly, they're in the bottom half. They're sitting 15th in shots created. Their conversion rate is even lower. They're saying a 9% conversion rate. So offensively, they're not finding the opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net. And when they do have them, they're not taking advantage of that. I mean, compared to us, we have a 22% conversion rate right now. We're tied for tops in the league with Monterey Bay in terms of conversion rate. And I'd have to look back and see Let me look back at 2022 and see where Detroit was at last year. I want to say they were significantly better last year. 100. That cannot be right. Sorry, I do apologize. 2022. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's the USL season. The USL website is just not great at all for stuff like this. Yeah, that's still, you still look at 2022 goes to 2023 stats. So I'm gonna stop looking at that. We need to find I need to find a better resource for research than the USL Championship was, which is really, really sad. But yeah, no, they're not putting their playmakers in positions to score. And against our defense, as good as we've been at times, I think that's going to be a real liability for Detroit City.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if they're struggling so bad to score, we are pretty decent defensively, especially now. And I mentioned it earlier in the pod. With Hamilton on the back line, we're good defensively. And I like Hamilton in the back, which is hard for me to say. Because we all know how I feel about Hamilton. Or as I was referring to him on Saturday or last night, that guy wearing number 4. That's my opinion. With him being in the back line, it's more fortified and more structured back there because now you have Kalen and Hamilton back there who can hold it down while Yerzy bombs up or Schwartz bombs up to make it easier for the attack and not stress out that someone's going to lose their mind back there and give something up. So if you're leaning toward prediction, I say 2-0 us.
2-0. All right. Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. Okay, I finally got to the Detroit's stats from last year. 33 goals conceded, 45 goals scored. So yeah, I think clearly they were better offensively last year. They're not far off the mark this year in terms of defensive ability, but yeah, they're really struggling right now. Christina over in the chat, pre-injury when Hamilton was at his prime, he was playing at the back then too. It's a better fit. He was playing at the back. He was doing quite well. I thought he did pretty well, especially like you said, pre-injury. And obviously when he came back from that, he had some issues. I think he had some issues getting fit and getting back into the swing of that. And so like he's definitely turned a corner. I think he's playing better. I know some people don't see it that way. There's a lot of people that really don't like Sam being out there, but Sam brings a lot of things to the field that don't necessarily show up on paper, or you may not notice, because again, Sam is not a big flashy guy. He's not someone that's gonna put up stats in any sort of manner. But I think Sam does a lot of good things for the team. So, but yeah, looking at Detroit this weekend at the Lab, we're better at home than they are away. Detroit is struggling, like I said, to find goals. Steinwasser is a quality keeper. Defensively, Detroit's doing a very good job. And so I think that's going to be where the issue is for us on Saturday night. Can we break down Steinwasser and that backline in front of him? Because they are very, very good. Again, one of the best teams in the USL Championship right now in terms of goals allowed. But with the changes that we've seen Brucey up top, we've seen more play through the middle. I mean, you saw Armando Moreno basically run through Lights defenders yesterday and put himself in an opportunity to score a goal. And, he did convert there. So I think we're doing a lot of things really well right now. And so I look at this and I see a 2-0 win on Saturday at the Lab. Another 3 points over, again, a struggling Detroit City FC team. So, Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be fun to be back at the lab, see the guys again, and get back out there. I'm going to be busy this weekend. I do plan on stopping early enough to hopefully go to the game on Saturday. Take some time away from moving, but yeah, it should be a good one. Salute to service night out at the lab. So if you don't have tickets, get out there and get those tickets already. Should be a fun night over there. We do have one more topic we want to hit this evening before we get out of here. Earl, premium live event, WWE at the weekend, noon time for us this past weekend. Money in the Bank. John Cena is back, pushing WrestleMania London. Were there any surprises to come out of Money in the Bank? Who redeems their contract first? And how much more do we have to see of Cody and Brock?
So once again, I'm gonna start backwards. I do believe we see Cody and Brock going to SummerSlam. I also want to say that we see Cody versus Roman for WrestleMania one more time. Hopefully Cody actually wins at that time. Who cashes in their contract first? I don't remember who won the women's. I'm not gonna lie to you. Io Sky. Io Sky won it.
Yeah.
I think Io Sky cashes in first, but she does not succeed. Followed by Damian Priest to cash in, but somehow Finn Balor cost him the match. So both of those being a non-successful cash in. The biggest surprise. The biggest surprise in my mind is the fact, well, this Bloodline Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
For one, the Usos are incredible. I love the Usos. But I also love Roman Reigns. To see Roman Reigns take his first pinfall in 3.25 years, felt like 3.25 decades, was incredible. It was shocking. It's exactly what you watch sports entertainment, professional wrestling, whatever you want to call it. It's the reason why you watch it. Because as Seth knows, as Harry knows, because he also watches it, it's the days of our lives for grown-ass men.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we all know it's scripted. Some will say it's fake. I want to see you be thrown off a Hell in the Cell and fucking get up and walk away. And Robert, just to touch on your comment real quick, 'cause I know it's past your bedtime. You will see me at soccer at San Antonio and New Mexico United in Albuquerque on August 7th or 17th. It's the 7th.
You sure about that?
It's the 7th.
August 12th.
12th. I was close. Either which way. But yeah, you will see me there. I do plan on being there. I am going to take my newly crowned ex-girlfriend, also known as my fiance. I'm going to take her and my bonus daughter once again to watch it. We'll also be there July 22nd because why the fuck not? So we'll be there then. But anyways, I digress. Watching Roman Reigns take his first pinfall in 3 years was shocking. I was speechless, didn't know what to say. And the storyline that they're building up is even better. I don't know which way they're trying to go with it. I don't know if they're trying to end the Bloodline series and just call it good. But damn, I want to see Jey Uso get a singles championship. I really do. He's worked his ass off during the COVID pandemic, during the endemic, into now. I want to say that from pre-COVID to now, Jey Uso is miles better than what he was, than where he started. So I would love to see
We would, Robert. The problem is that Jacob will be at the police academy at that point, so he wouldn't be able to make it.
yeah, unfortunately. So I would love to see Jey Uso get some kind of singles run with some kind of championship, even if he sticks with Jimmy and stays as the Usos, but he gets a singles championship and not the tag championships. I'm 100% okay with that. For his professional growth and development, he needs that in his career. And then just the other matches that happened, the Seth and Finn Balor match. I love both of those. Seth Rollins has been one of my favorites forever now. And Finn Balor has been too. So seeing those two go at it and the new meaner version of Finn Balor is incredible. Any of those two deserves that championship. And I'm 100% okay with that too. So, I mean, on a scale of 10 for this premium live event, Money in the Bank didn't disappoint. I would give it a solid 7, maybe even an 8.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly was interesting. There were a lot of storylines. It seemed to be a bit of a smaller card than what we've seen on previous shows, but yeah, it was entertaining. A lot of interesting things. I'm of the opinion that Judgment Day is coming to an end. Because I can't see them continuing that going, especially if Finn Balor and Damian Priest are going to be feuding because they're already causing each other issues. I'm as much as the fans hate Dominic Mysterio, like he's got a lot of heat. I can't see that continuing to go. I mean, they're going to have to, in the Dom Rhea thing at some point. But
see, and that's the thing. I don't like Dominic Mysterio whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I don't think anyone's even asked for his autograph.
Maybe not. Who knows? Obviously we're not at all the live events, but it's just, you look forward to, obviously, NXT has Great American Bash next, which used to be a marquee event for WCW way back in the day. But the next major show is SummerSlam from Detroit, Michigan. And that's going to be on August 5th. So a bit of a way to go before the next premium live event that we will be focusing on and giving you coverage of. But I really hope there's some, and Drew McIntyre's back now as well. So, maybe there's some interesting storylines that happen between now and then. Maybe some other storylines come to a close. But there's going to be a lot of things to look forward to in the coming weeks and months with WWE, especially now that there are concerns over Vince supposedly changing things last minute again instead of letting things go. So who knows? Who knows if Vince's involvement continues to cause problems? Who knows if Triple H, maintains control of the reins? And who knows if Roman Reigns even keeps his titles? So
we'll see.
That we will. Earl, before we get out of here, do you have any closing thoughts on any of our topics this evening?
No, I don't have any closing thoughts on any of our topics that we had. Other than I do appreciate you congratulating us on a new venture in life. It'll be an interesting next couple of years to see where it goes. For those of you that did come in late, Seth did break some news on my personal life. Where I did upgrade my girlfriend to fiance. I did propose to her over the weekend, over the 4th of July weekend, to ask her to be my wife. And shockingly enough, almost as shocking as Roman Reigns getting pinned, she said yes. So that's the new news of the world, and that's all I got.
Yeah, and again, congratulations to Earl and Marlena on their pending nuptials. Congratulations, guys! We do. We obviously, we've had the chance to meet Marlena. She is lovely. She's a fantastic person. Earl, you seem happy, so we're happy for you. And
all I know is we're having a Somos Mas wedding. That's it.
Somos Mas wedding. Okay, there you go. You heard it here first, folks. A Somos Mas wedding.
First ever, by the way.
First ever, yes. Marlena has not signed off on this yet, so
she doesn't know yet either.
She doesn't. Okay, well there you go. She doesn't know yet. Hopefully, Earl, you don't get in too much trouble for that, but we look forward to the save the dates, so that way we can get our money saved up for, I don't know, some sort of wedding venture for Earl. Maybe we get Earl, a nice JPG jersey or something. So
I will fucking hate you.
Robert, I'm still waiting for someone to ask me. Hey, aren't
Robert? Don't do it. This is my third one.
Aren't we all? But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you being here throughout the show. A lot of things we talked about this evening. Obviously, El Paso, Las Vegas, Detroit City, Twitter beef, money in the bank, Earl's pending nuptials, and his bonus daughter. So we do appreciate each and every one of you being here. For Jacob, for Earl, for myself, I do appreciate you guys. Jacob, hope you're doing well, buddy. And for David Carl, our David Weesey Carl, I should say, our master and overlord and our corporate overseer, we bow down and we humbly ask that you not yell at us for anything we said this evening. We do appreciate you guys, and until next time, Somos Unidos.